Welcome to the Business on Top podcast with Shane Chernoff, Vijay Patel, and Ben Siegel.
What is wrong with you?
What do you mean what's wrong with you? What's wrong with you?
No, what's wrong with you?
No, what's wrong with you? You're projecting. You stop projecting on me.
Favorite Taco Bell item? Go.
Ever or right now? I guess it's the same.
Just answer the question.
Hello?
Lois, I can't take out the garbage because I'm at the office and they're making me stay late.
Peter, the caller ID says you're calling from the kitchen. In fact, I can see you.
Can you see me now?
No.
Okay, now I'm at the office.
Business on Top podcast.
Hi there! Honk if you love justice!
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another edition of the Business on Top podcast. Shane Chernoff here, along with, as always, my trusty co-hosts, Ben Siegel, Vijay Patel. I just returned from my trip to Colorado, which was a great time. Got some nice, cool, dry air, which I enjoyed very much, and just did want to start at the top of the show to say a couple things. And, usually we like to keep it light, but, this is our platform, and just wanted to make sure that I did right by people that I care about and people that I trust by wishing my condolences to the families and close friends of the late, great Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg, one of the greatest jurists of our time, paved the way for women, somebody that was a true hero, was crucial to establishing and making sure that Title IX stayed in place, and is somebody that's going to be sorely missed in the American jurisprudence community, and also somebody that, as a Mets fan, was near and dear to my heart, Tom Seaver. Tom, terrific as we called him, was somebody that turned the Mets, who really were a laughingstock for a really long time, into somebody that, into a team that Major League Baseball and the rest of the country took really seriously. And you could tell that he was the person that really pushed the 1969 Miracle Mets into the World Series, and was somebody that not only that we didn't get to see him pitch in person, but he was someone that of as a pitching legend, and just somebody that's going to be remembered for a long, long time. And it was really sad to see him go. Everybody, I think, who identifies as a Mets fan feels the same way. But just wanted to get that off my heart, because it's actually been feeling heavy the last couple of weeks, as we've sustained some serious losses in just American history, and especially to people who grow up in New York and really identify as New Yorkers. But why don't we talk about something a little bit lighter? How's everybody's weekend? We had week 2 of NFL.
Yeah,
how about that?
Football's back.
Football's back and going strong.
Yeah.
Speaking of football, college football is all the way back with the Big Ten, Pac-12, and I don't know if it was the Mountain West or the MAC, but doesn't matter because they're both the same. They're not a Power 5.
I think I was gonna say I think you left out a conference.
Well, no.
Da da.
All right.
Da 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 da. Go Gators!
You guys just refused to play out of conference games for some reason. That's why you guys haven't played.
Hey, that was an SEC decision.
I know, that's what I'm saying. Like, you guys referring to your conference.
Wait, so
you guys were still.
I don't necessarily disagree with you on that. I don't understand the logic of we can travel to Mississippi to play Ole Miss, but we can't travel to Tallahassee to play Florida State.
Yeah.
I mean, what sense does that make?
Yeah.
I mean, do you want to play us this year?
I mean, it's a rivalry game, yeah. Why would we not?
You definitely want to play it every year. But you know what the funny thing is, we played in Gainesville this year, and assuming that we are able to get a vaccine and get past the pandemic, you would basically not be the beneficiary of having an empty stadium game in Tallahassee and then having to come back to us when there's more capacity in the swamp and having to play us
I
again.
don't know. I mean, again, these rivalry games, like, it's 50-50. They're so close to each other. I mean, there's just as many UF fans at a home game at FSU, vice versa. I've been at them. I've seen it. There's maybe the swamp's a little more 60-40 UF, but definitely at FSU games, I mean, it's close to 50-50. So,
I've never been to at FSU, Doak Campbell.
I've been a one game at Doak while I was in law school. It was the Trubisky game, which I'm sure you
we lost in a field goal.
It was the last second.
Pass interference. It was a 4th down. They called a BSPI on us that gave them the first down. It brought them into field goal range, and they kicked. I think it was like a 53-yarder.
Well, I think you're like burying the lead there, because the interesting thing about that game was, remember, North Carolina got out to a pretty big lead.
Yeah, and then we came back. We took the lead in the 4th. I remember that game very well, as I do most games that I worked there. Our quarterback at the time had a really good running touchdown to put us up, and yeah, I mean
that was an interesting game that I experienced in a couple of different places. I think you were actually the one that hooked me up with those tickets that day. So
yeah,
I appreciate it, but you probably regret it, because I ended up being in the president's box celebrating after North Carolina's kicker ended up making it.
That was a rough year.
That was probably the game that cemented Trubisky as a first rounder.
Yeah. Prior to that game, I mean, never heard of him as a prospect or anything like that. And then, I mean, I think he threw 400 yards that game, had 4, maybe 5 touchdowns, and ended up being a first rounder. Got picked before. Can you name the 2 quarterbacks he was picked over that year?
Patrick Mahomes was one.
Yeah.
And Deshaun Watson. Yeah, and it's
same birthdays too.
Oh, is that? Oh,
they're both.
There you go. There's another.
Oh, I didn't know they're born on the same day. That's interesting.
Yeah, he was drafted before both of them. But he's having a good year this year so far, so maybe.
A little lagging behind.
Maybe
all of tonight.
Look,
people progress differently.
Days later.
I can talk about people who are late bloomers. Again, I had no friends in high school, and I barely had any friends in college, and I think we're doing just fine here. But on the Business on Top podcast, we like to keep things fun. I think this is turning into a little bit too much like our Fantasy Focus podcast, which you'll have for us by the end of the night. We're going to put that together for you. Coming up next, we are going to have somebody who's really working his way up the channels in the celebrity chef industry, and you'll be able to get to hear from him in the next segment. But in the meantime, man, I had a good time out in Denver. Air travel.
Yeah, tell us about that trip.
Started off with how was traveling during a pandemic?
So air travel is a little bit different. I think with really anything in life, it comes with its pros and cons. I think if you are somebody who's concerned about getting the virus and potentially transmitting it to loved ones, it can be a little scary sitting on a plane where there are airlines that are not blocking off the middle seat, like the one that I flew on, which has a hub in Denver. I won't mention them by name. But other than that, it was great because I don't think I've ever gotten past the terminals at PBI as quickly as I did. I think it took me 45 seconds to get through for security.
That's pretty amazing.
And if you remember, Ben, you were on the flight with me to Toronto. They shut down that little place that we stopped at to get drinks before our flight took off. You know, that little Sam Adams corner. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
It's not there at all anymore.
Quite
I mean, it is there, but it's closed.
Actually, moment. Only obviously me and you know prior to that Toronto trip, but we were sitting there, and I remember talking to Shane. And I was like, the most I'm excited about this trip is going to be one we talk about for the next 15 to 20 years, like we do college, and you just,
and it was.
It lived up to all expectations and more.
I really couldn't believe it, but the airport is really like a dead zone. But I always think it's funny when an airline goes, "Hey, in the interest of social distancing, we're not going to be offering any foods and snacks, but at the same time, we have a full flight." I mean, what are you doing there? Come on, just say that we care about certain things and don't care about other things. Look, you can't be talking out of both sides of your mouth there. But I think overall it wasn't too bad. The only difference is you have to wear a mask the whole time. They almost throw your snacks and your drinks at you. There is food and drink services on most of the flights. But I mean, if you're okay with sitting next to somebody for 3 to 4 hours at a time, as long as you're wearing your mask, I really think that it was okay. It wasn't too bad. And Denver was nice. I got 3 letters in particular that I think were pretty awesome. You know, when you go out to Denver, you associate it with 3 letters. And you guys, I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. CMA, Cool Mountain Air.
That's a weird thing.
I am all about that cool mountain air. I got some fantastic hikes in, and just being up in the altitude, it's definitely a totally different experience. But it is a lot of fun, especially because, you know, as you're watching, I know last episode we talked about hurricanes, and you know how many systems were swirling around in the Atlantic like about a week and a half ago.
Yeah, like
it was
5.
It was like
5.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure they reported like there was a record of tropical cyclones that had been out in the Atlantic before, basically at one time simultaneously, and it was crazy. I just needed to get out of here.
Yeah. Well, they also said this is the first time since 05, like what we talked about, that Wilma year of 05.
We went to the Greek alphabet.
Yeah, and it's only September, so there's still when does hurricane season end? Like
technically it ends at the end of
November.
We've been lucky so far.
Yeah,
Cross our fingers.
Yeah, we're gonna all knock on wood here.
But yeah, we're on the Greek alphabet, so pray for us. We don't. What's after?
We just finished up beta. We're gonna go to gamma.
You think
are you saying like what happens when you finish up the Greek alphabet? I mean, would you just start doing it in numbers? Hurricane 1, 2, 3, 4. I hadn't really even thought about
we
that.
can actually look that up. I mean, at some point.
Yeah, let's. We're gonna get somebody from the National Weather Service on next episode.
Yeah.
Honestly, I would like to do that. I would love to just interview somebody about weather. We're gonna have an interesting comparison coming up later in the show about weathermen and people who predict fantasy football. But coming up right now, we're gonna have a celebrity chef who is quickly working his way up the ranks, and we're gonna give him to you. Coming up.
All right. Welcome back. Episode 6, Business on Top, with a special guest, Mr. Brad Stoll, aka Chef Asshole.
Yeah.
This guy is starting to make my eyebrows sweat. Oh, I can't believe someone would call him a chef. I know what I'm talking about. I'm from Long Island. This guy is pissing me off. Have you seen my eyebrows? If this guy doesn't wrap things up, I'm going to shut this shit down.
And let's just get right into Chef Asshole.
Tell me more about how you had friends and, you know, all that privilege you had.
How many
Tell me what it's like to never struggle a day in your life.
My top 8, how you might have been in it. I don't know. I don't remember. But Brad's living out in Cali right now, and he, he's pursuing his acting career, and he just recently started up his Chef Asshole page, which is very entertaining. We will link it down below and on the screen right now. But just to start this episode, kind of, Brad, just kind of talk about how you came up with Chef Asshole and, why you decided to create this channel and all of that.
Well, as a boy, I was enslaved by a European country, and then I voted over here. No, so I made it over. I made it over here to LA back in 2018. I mean, I've been working in restaurants for years, and doing comedy and acting has been a bit of my background. But working in kitchens and getting to know the chefs, I worked for pretty much mostly family, if not corporate chain restaurants. And the one thing you need to know about those restaurants is that there goes absolutely no love into their food, and you're eating pure butter and cream and salt. It's garbage. It's not good, but it's comforting, and that's why you go back.
That's what Americans love.
those were the exact words I said to a head chef at the Cheesecake Factory. He got very pissed off at me.
That's probably the place where the calories are basically dense and you're just tossing them out. No, because I can't imagine that there's any other restaurant where you're like looking at 1,200 calorie foods across the menu.
I'm gonna be honest with you, dude. If you go look at any menu across the U.S., the Cheesecake Factory is not as bad as what you think. The Cheesecake Factory is just honest with you. Most of the restaurants you eat at, probably you consume equal amount of calories, if not worse.
So everybody's lowballing you on the calorie count.
Yeah, I mean, like, yeah, Cheesecake Factory has crazy calorie counts, but most restaurants in America don't list their menu calories. And they also want to make you feel like, first of all, nobody wants to look at calories. And even if you do look at the calories, you're still going to fucking go there. You're at the drive-thru. You're not going to change your mind.
Yeah.
You know?
I get a salad with an extra side of ranch and bacon.
Yeah, but this Big Mac is going to make me feel bloated. It's like, yeah, but you're at the drive-thru at McDonald's. So, you know, no time to have that mental game of like, oh, am I bettering myself? No. So basically 2 and 2 came together. The one thing I couldn't stand about, and I still can't stand about foodie culture, is that it's not a culture. It's melted cheese on a fried chicken sandwich. It's not innovative. It's porn. It's there's no creativity that goes in it, and everyone who hosts these shows are corny as shit, boring if you ask me. And yeah, they're good chefs. I'm not going to put down their culinary skills. Most of them are really good at what they do. But if I see one more tasty video, I'll be like, hey, what if you shoved an entire stick of cream cheese into a chicken breast? No, that's not cooking. You know? Yeah. It's not good.
So what are you trying to do that's different? How are you separating yourselves from all the tasties and the, eye-catching Instagram handles of the world?
Well, like, I mean, listen, don't let the name fool you. I'm not a real chef. I didn't go to culinary school. Like I said, I just worked at some restaurants. Oh my God, pulled the veil back. Like most of the people on the internet, they're not real chefs. But I'm honest about that, and it's basically what you see is what you get, and you're coming for the food, you're staying for the comedy. I don't want this to be like, I'm going to teach you how to make spaghetti bolognese. Like, I don't care about that. I'm going to trash Olive Garden in the process and take down everything you love about Italian food, and then make sure you watch it to see the food I make. And I actually don't make bad food. I need to work on my presentation. It's nothing best, but nonetheless, that's kind of where it came from. It's just like I wanted to be different. I'm tired of being bored watching food because I love food. Food's one of my favorite things in the world. It's pretty much food, and that's literally the list. And then it like cuts off at 3.
There you go. No, yeah, your food. I mean, if you watch, your videos, your food definitely looks the part, and it looks good. Like you play it off like you know what you're doing, and like you went to possibly culinary school because it looks good. Like it's something that I think that we all would try.
That is a very loaded compliment, and I appreciate that. But,
of course,
I don't know what to do with that. But thank you.
But so, kind of talking about the food, where do you get your ideas? I know you just recently came out with a Jewish Crunchwrap Supreme. Your latest.
Yes.
Where do you get your food ideas from? Is this just something you think of throughout the week, or where do you get those from?
Well, look, let's put it this way. Our menus are limited as much as we like to say that we have a refined palate or we like to eat a lot of different foods. The reality is this. People love pub food. People love different styles of cuisine, but they're lazy and they can't make up their mind. I figure take 2 and 2 and knock them out, right? So I'm trying to take something that might be loved by a culture and then make it to an American standard where people can want to tolerate it. Like, yeah, Taco Bell is trash but tastes delicious. But what if I took
that's blasphemy on this show. You gotta be careful. You can't be calling Taco Bell trash. Taco Bell is the cathedral of this podcast.
Well, if I want an opinion from a guy wearing a blazer and calls himself a Business on Top podcast,
shut your mouth, asshole.
Oh wow! Ah!
That's my co-host. You're talking to, you piece of shit.
Yeah, well, you know what? Your co-host doesn't know what he's talking about. Cathedral, more like a subway stop. Are you shitting me? No. Taco Bell is. let me finish. Fucking finish. Taco Bell. I said it is delicious, but it is garbage, and that is a fact.
Garbage
drive-through-
food,
well,
debatable. Tasting, no.
Yes, it's garbage. First of all, if you stepped off a plane and came to Los Angeles, you know what real Mexican food tastes like. It doesn't taste like that. Although there are plenty of Taco Bells in Los Angeles, and don't get me wrong, I've been to them. I go to them; it's open late. You know.
Now, in Taco Bell's defense, we're not going to Taco Bell because we want Mexican food. We're going to Taco Bell because it tastes good.
We want something
So we're not
delicious.
going
Exactly.
Like most people who fit in a size 4 jeans, yes, but it tastes good. I get that. I didn't go to Taco Bell being like, what kind of salads do you guys have? Do you have a Baja salad? Do you guys have a Baja salad with a Mountain Dew dressing? Like, I mean, I know what it is. I fucking know what it is. It's garbage.
For value, you can make the argument that Taco Bell is the Meryl Streep of fast food. You know what you're going to get. It's going to be fantastic. The ultimate utility player. It's going to perform, and no matter what situation, it's going to come through for you.
I think that's absolutely not true. I think there's a lot of bad items on the Taco Bell menu. I don't think it's consistent all the way through.
Ooh, okay.
Trust me.
All right, we're gonna.
First of all, you asked me where I came my inspiration for a dish, and then you cut me off when I called your cathedral a shithole.
Well, Taco Bell is off limits. You know, we discussed off limits things. You know, to talk about.
You never said Taco Bell was off
limits. Bad talking Taco Bell, but continue. We'll let you continue.
Sure. We'll talk about your Dollar Tree version of a cathedral. So where I got the idea for the Crunchwrap, right? So more or less, I want to take a dish and I want to take it up another notch. I want to also combine it. If it's like a pop culture trend, if there's a holiday, I want to theme it up, obviously for YouTube standards, so I can like fall in some kind of algorithm that they can help me. So far, YouTube does not want to acknowledge my existence, but eventually they will. Also because I'm not exactly considered a YouTube channel that they love, because I'm controversial, I curse, I make jokes that are inappropriate, but I'm also in the food world. But I'm also, if you look deep down, there's only one other channel you can think of that doesn't even really exist anymore that used to do something like this, and they weren't even that dangerous. Epic Mealtime. Exactly. If you look now on the internet, there is nothing even close to them or even resembles them. And that's why I feel like I should stand out, but YouTube doesn't want to acknowledge a channel that actually is, dare I say it, entertaining. So when I come with these dishes, it's more or less just like that. And I also, all my jokes are written on the spot. I don't write them. I just say them off the top of my head, and I get a couple takes until I get the joke right. A lot of people hit me up being like, you stop reading off your script. I'm like, there's no script. That's me. Like, I'm literally going off the top of my head. I'm trying to develop a sentence that makes sense, and it also is funny, especially when I cut it in editing. Mm-hmm. So, yeah. So, I mean, a Crunchwrap, I mean, listen, Yom Kippur food sucks. We can agree as 3 Jews in this chat. Right, Shane, you're Jewish, right?
I am. I can fly under the radar sometimes.
VJ is fortunate. VJ's fortunate. He probably comes from a place that his mom didn't use, salt as a condiment. So us Jews typically don't know flavor. If you go to a deli, most of the food tastes like salt water.
Oh no, I like a nice pastrami on rye.
Yeah, but what's pastrami when you break it down? It's meat that is literally cooked in salt in
water. It is salted meat. Your point is actually well taken.
Yeah, so I'm saying it's delicious, but also think of it this way: it's not that innovative because it's literally just salt cured. If you have real pastrami or real corned beef that wasn't made by a Jew, usually in a barbecue place, way better, 1,000,000 times better. It's not dry, it's juicy, it's got tons of flavor, it's got love in it. Jews, it's a lot of angry resentment pumped into food. It's like, you will eat this dish, you ungrateful shit. I worked so goddamn hard for this. And then you're just eating gefilte fish with hand moving. They're like, I guess it's delicious.
You're pouring a bottle of horseradish sauce on it to mask
exactly.
the taste. Yeah. No, I think
I basically wanted to incorporate a Yom Kippur meal or Rosh Hashanah meal or any Jewish meal into a Crunchwrap. So it was, Jewish style brisket, horseradish sour cream. I put a potato latke instead of tostada. I did tomatoes and pickles chopped up as the inner condiment with some lettuce. And then I did a cream cheese queso with pepper jack cheese.
Ooh,
It was, can't lie to you, it was probably one of the best things I've made next to, I would say, either the General Tso's chicken and waffles, or the second after that would probably be the Italian Cuban. That was phenomenal. I can't lie. I made it really
Was
I like
Bar
that.
mitzvah entree right there.
were
Yeah, I mean, like,
were you surprised by how good any one of those actually came out? In other words,
oh yeah, like, you'll know, I'll say this for my editing, something for you guys to look out for. You'll know when I'm genuinely impressed with myself and when I'm like, this tastes good. Like, you can definitely tell. Like, when I took a bite out of that crunch wrap yesterday, I literally paused. I was like, oh God, like, wow, this is wow. I didn't even expect it to go this good. Same thing with Cubano. I was like, whoa, like, I really nailed this. Like, I had to stop, and then what I'll do is I'll run into my bedroom when my girlfriend's working, and I'll just be like, oh my God, that was amazing. And she'll sit there being like, oh, good. You know, you made something that tastes good.
So
all right, now go back into your cave.
So kind of, you mentioned YouTube, and, you know, obviously as us starting a channel around the same time as you did, you know, your growth has been pretty crazy in the amount of time you've had your channel. So I guess what I was wondering is, what have you found successful as far as gaining subscribers or gaining viewers on YouTube or social media? Because, you know, we're always trying to find new ways to attract new viewers, new subscribers, and, you know, we've seen that your channels are starting to take off. Your views are getting hundreds of videos on YouTube, and your Instagram page is over 500 followers last I checked. So what are some things that you found has worked, and maybe some things that you found hasn't worked on YouTube and Instagram?
So here's what I'll say. This is I think it's hard because everybody's different. Like, every YouTube channel, whatever your product is, it's going to be very different from everyone else. I'm also in a position, and I appreciate what you said. But I still think I have so much work to do, considering the competition I'm at. I'm in the food market, where you're going up against people who have millions of views, millions of subscribers, monetized, brand deals, all that shit, but they're willing to suck it up. Like, I'm not. I could be further had I never cursed. And I'm not even talking about, even take out the bleeps. Like, if I didn't curse, period, I wasn't controversial, I was just another food channel, yeah, maybe I have a couple thousand more views than I have now. I've learned, and this is just how I've done things, are you willing to lose all your friends and family? That's a genuine question.
I mean, are you?
And I don't mean them physically. I mean, like, respect. Are you willing to have your family and friends be annoyed with you? Because that's where it starts. Your friends and family are going to be ultra supportive in the beginning. Oh my God, so great, you know, keep making it. And then you're going to spam the shit out of them. Now, the way that social media's algorithm is now designed is basically pay to play, or you already have clout going into the game, or you hire a marketing company to actually market for you, or you get on bigger podcasts or, you know, platforms that get you viewers through them. That's the original, memes, whatever. How I've always started is I annoy the shit out of people. When I'm done annoying the shit out of people, and when I burn them all out, I hit the other outlets. What else can I get on? Reddit. That's a big one for me. I use Reddit a lot. Reddit works in mysterious ways. With podcasts, you need a fan base to like you on Reddit. That's the thing. And with you guys, I would be making clips of your show, like a 2-minute clip of like something funny, funny moment that happened. Like, maybe we took 2 minutes of me shitting on Taco Bell, and that's like your clip that you throw on, and you start another page called Business on Top Clips. Every big podcast does it. Tags are important in the long run. They're not immediately important. They're important if there's a spike. So let's say someone popular, like let's say Joe Rogan talks about the MLB. and you happen to talk about Joe Rogan and baseball in the same episode, and your tags are Joe Rogan MLB, you might get some back end views from that. You might get some back end subscribers that find you. Another way, your title needs to be SEO friendly. So everything that you look up, I'm going to give some secrets away. I didn't want to do this, but you know what? You're my friends, and I want your viewers to find you.
Trade secrets. We appreciate it, Chef. Thank you.
No problem. TubeBuddy is a great little device you can use for free at first, and then you'll run out of stuff because like every free thing, it's like runs on a time thing. Once you've done enough searches, it'll be like come back tomorrow, and you can search other things. So with that thing, you can actually search what is popular and what is actually good for you. So let's say you put up something like Shane goes off about Taco Bell getting rid of Mexican pizza. Now that's a pretty juicy SEO title, but if Mexican pizza is a very saturated thing right now, that title needs to be the thing that you put, not Mexican pizza being like, we talk about Mexican pizza. Well, anybody can talk about it, but you have to make it your own so people look you up being like the business on top. I don't know. Do you guys have a name for yourself? Like kind of like how you call your viewers? Do you have like a name?
With the business on top pods, we can call them potties. I don't know really too much of what we have. No, we don't have anything like that.
VJ and Ben, for your sake, let's hope you're never called potties. That sounds like potties, and it sounds like you guys are shit.
Potty time.
Potty time. This actually might stick, actually. So like, you know, like goes off on the potties about Taco Bell's Mexican pizza, whatever. Like those parts are important. You have to keep that in there. And then you use that title for your title of your video and you put it in your tags. Because when people look it up, that's going to be helping you up in your search results. Your tags are ultimately going to get you up higher in the search rankings. That's what they're good for. There's no rule of like how many you shouldn't use, how many you should use. Just be sparing. Make sure they're smart, make sure they're juicy, make sure in the first 2 minutes of your podcast clips, they're saying those words. Like in the first 10 seconds, Shane should be like, let's talk about the Mexican pizza. YouTube listens to your clips. That's another thing. So when you start typing in words and in your first 2 sentences of your description on your under your title, those things all need to link up. And that's only going to help you boost up. I know that's a crazy thing to think about, but it's actually very important. So what we talked about in the first 2 minutes, we talked about the Cheesecake Factory. Let's say we took that clip being like, Chef Ahole goes off about the Cheesecake Factory. You know, that's going to pop up. That's actually going to do well for you guys. One, because I have a page, so it's going to be relevantly tagged with me. The Cheesecake Factory is a search thing, so that's going to help. And we actually talk about things about the Cheesecake Factory. We say it multiple times.
So if we were to use that title, let's put a percentage. What's the likelihood that chef you told that you shit on his food will see the video and will comment, Chef Asshole?
Very, very slim chance because he has a child and he's like a head chef at the Cheesecake Factory and he doesn't have that kind of time. So, but I will say this. When you do tag me on YouTube, like let's say you mention me in your description, don't write Chef Asshole. That's another thing I found out. Cursing in your description, your titles, your tags will get you shadow banned. And I'm not saying like they're gonna ban your channel. It just won't show up places. So I found out the hard way. Somebody told me on Reddit, they're like, listen, man, I love your videos, but you're gonna get shadow banned from YouTube because you're writing asshole in your title. So that's why it's Chef Ahole on YouTube and not Chef Asshole on Instagram. I am right. Chef Asshole.
Chef Ahole, aka Chef Asshole, on the Business on Top podcast with us. That's Mr. Brad Stoll. We do a fantasy football segment before every football Sunday where we have a stud, slacker, and sleeper. In other words, we have somebody who is great, somebody who is overrated, and somebody who is underrated. What would be your food for Chef Ahole, your stud, slacker, and your sleeper?
Stud, slacker, sleeper. Stud. Oof. Stud, I would go with Matty Matheson. I would go with slacker Gordon Ramsay.
He's overrated, huh? You don't like Ramsay, huh?
I love Gordon like the next person, but after what he did to the grilled cheese, I can't look at him the same way because you try to master every dish and you make a grilled cheese that basically was a cheese sandwich. He didn't melt the cheese. He
Wow,
cheese, which God only knows.
Crucial
First of
mistake
all,
there by Ramsay. Can't be doing that.
Why the hell you would be using Gouda cheese on a grilled cheese is beyond me. That cheese barely melts, so unless you're putting in a fondue
Wolfgang
pot.
Puck is going to make that better, right?
Ew, no, Wolfgang Puck sucks. He's if you want somebody to like marry kill off Wolfgang Puck. That guy is psycho and makes weird dishes that I don't think make sense. I don't care for him. I hate him. He's not even a slacker to me. I don't put him in the category. And then sleeper. This is a tough one.
What about I'm gonna say Padma Lakshmi, because I've always been a big fan of Padma Lakshmi.
I don't know. I've never really looked at her food. I'm always looking at her.
You're basically looking
she's
at
beautiful. God, if Padma Lakshmi looked like you, VJ, I already finished. I got to get new shorts. Let's see. Slacker. This is tough. Oh no, sorry. No, it's sorry. Sleeper.
You're sleeper. Somebody that's underrated.
Someone who's underrated. Fuck me.
Or if you can't think of a chef, how about a food? Like, what's a food no one thinks of that's super underrated that you think is?
Hang on. Let me do it this way because
give me some names and I'll tell you. Because I honestly am blanking right now. I'm sorry.
Ooh, Guy Fieri.
He's not a chef.
Oh, what is he?
There we go.
He's a Fridays owner, basically, to me.
Okay. Fridays owner Guy Fieri is going to be on with us next episode of the Business on Top podcast. I have a couple of quick questions for you before we let you go. Do pineapples belong on pizza?
I mean, you can put it on it, but I'm not going to call it pizza.
Is black licorice okay?
Ew, no. God, no. You know why black licorice sucks? Because it was created by people who only like eating salted fish that comes out of a can. The Swedish people can make furniture, they can't cook.
What about how do you feel about lingonberries?
I think I've had lingonberries once or twice, not bad. I do have one quick story, or not a story, more or less. We want to talk about celebrity food world things. Jon Taffer does not care for my impression of him.
Well, he's not great. I'm not a fan of his either, to be honest with you.
Oh, I love Jon Taffer. Like, I'm a huge Jon Taffer fan.
Wait, you gotta say more. Did he comment? I mean, you gotta.
So here's the thing with Jon Taffer. So I'll tell you a quick story. So one of my buddies out here, he has a podcast. It's with Bro Bible, so he's got a little bit of a following. Interviewed Taffer, and I gave my friend a shout out on Instagram, just being like, "Oh, this is so cool. You work so hard. Blah blah blah." Jon Taffer, this is huge. Blah blah blah. Jon Taffer shared my shit. So the first thing goes in my brain is like, "Well, I've had contact." Then I sent him a message saying, "Hey, just want to let you know." It was a great, one of my favorite interviews right now. My buddy is yours. I'm a big fan of the show. He's a really hardworking guy, so I really appreciate listening to your discussion on the food industry and all that, blah, blah, blah. And he could not have been nicer. He's like, "Brad, thank you so much. Thank you for being a fan. It's always nice to hear. Hope you're staying safe during these odd times." I was like, wow, okay. He responded. So now my brain is churning. And Ben probably knows a little better. I mean, like, I do impressions for fun, but I don't call myself an impressionist. And I only started doing them because people were like telling me, "Oh, you should do a video where you do that." So I was like, you know what? I've never done Jon Taffer, and I've watched the show so much. I was like, I'm going to give it a shot. And the bar rescue community was really liking it a lot. Like, I was sending it to some fan pages and stuff. They're like, "Oh, you really got the inflection of blah, blah, blah." So I posted it. He saw it in my story. And I was like, "Hey, man, I hope you don't take offense to this." Because I want him to, know that I'm a fan doing this. Like, I don't hate him. But the video was him about him going out of his mind and rescuing himself, which I think is a hilarious premise. He's rescuing bars, but nobody rescues Jon Taffer. Who can rescue Jon Taffer? Jon Taffer.
Yeah, irony.
But I like basically having him have a mental breakdown during quarantine. That's the whole video, basically. And then I did him later for Chef Asshole episode, which actually did very well. It's the grilled cheese episode that I did. That was also a good one.
Yeah.
So he saw it. He just gave me a thumbs up with no response. I was like, oh, and like that just. I mean, like a guy who gave me like such a sweet response when I first reached out to him, and then he gives me a thumbs up. I'm like, yeah, he doesn't like impressions of him. And a lot of people haven't done Jon Taffer impressions, and I think he's got a pretty reasonable, stature in the food community. But I thought that was the only person so far I made contact with. I never made contact with Gordon when I did an impression of him. Never made contact with Guy Fieri. That was the only guy that actually like gave me like a little bit of validation.
Not to turn you into a piano bar, but do you have another good limited fake celebrity chef that you can dust off for us here before we let you go?
Like another person who like that I don't like,
just somebody that you do a decent limited fake of.
You want me to do an impression of?
Yeah. If you have somebody that you can do a pretty decent fake of before we let you go here on Business on Top, and thanks again for being on with us.
Oh, thank you.
Send us off with some good.
Thank you for having me, guys. God, I feel like I'm so on the spot.
Here, I'll filibuster for you because I want to talk to these guys because, as you know, our tradition after every pod is to go to Taco Bell. We've introduced a couple of new menu items. I think I'm going to go with the dragon fruit shake today, the dragon fruit smoothie. I'm not sure what you guys are thinking of, but there's a couple of new menu items. I'm not thrilled about the Mexican pizza being taken off the menu, though. That's not the one that I'm up in arms about. I'm more up in arms about the chicken burrito eventually being taken off the menu.
Yeah, they're getting rid of shredded chicken.
Very, very, very unfortunate. But Chef, do you have a good limited fake before we let you go here?
I mean, I could do my Taffer for you again.
Give us 30 seconds. What would fake limited fake Jon Taffer say to me if I went to Taco Bell instead of an authentic LA Mexican restaurant?
I'm Jon Taffer. I'm on the Business Top podcast. This is so fucking dumb. I'm on the Business on Top podcast. These three guys couldn't play baseball in high school, so they decided to start a podcast. I'm going to go on this podcast and really find out what their real endeavors could have been.
Yeah.
That's
Love it.
Thanks, guys.
Brad Stoll, thank you so much for being on with us. We'll talk to you soon, bud. Always good having you.
Thanks, guys. Check out Chef Asshole every Friday on YouTube. Thank you.
Welcome back to the Business on Top podcast. We are knee-deep in the middle of some very exciting sports. We've got the Marlins playing the Yankees. All the Marlins need to do is win to make the playoffs. I've got the two Yankees fans next to me with their B-holes clenched extremely tight right now.
It's 3-3.
Chef A-holes clenched.
3-3 in the top of the 10.
The Miami Heat almost ready to finish up the Boston Celtics and get to the NBA Finals, which is something that I really don't think anybody thought as of right now. But, I want to get to something that a couple of us have been talking about a little earlier today, which was that if you know who this is, Andre the Giant, if you've ever seen The Princess Bride, was the fantastically huge human being. Most guys will know him as a famous wrestler that Hulk Hogan famously slammed at WrestleMania 3 before anyone was ever able to lift him up. Some people would say that would put that feat put Hulk Hogan on the map. Like I said, girls will probably remember him from The Princess Bride. But we had gone back and forth about whether or not some of these reputed facts about Andre the Giant, and there's a documentary about him that's out there that you guys can watch. Have either of you guys seen this Andre the Giant documentary?
I haven't seen the documentary. No, I just read the article.
Well, the reality of the documentary is that without having seen or done our homework at all, which is how we do things here on the Business on Top podcast, we kind of just go. But the reality of it is very sad. This was a man who was very big and lived in a world that was meant for normal-sized people, and it was tough for him because he had to basically self-medicate with alcohol.
A lot.
Right, because and you just see, there was somebody who was just in a lot of pain. But I think some of the lighter sides of it, where you have some of these wrestlers that tell these stories about him and just speak so fondly of him. And I have this article. It's called "Best Andre the Giant Drinking Stories." Andre the Giant's official record is 156 beers in one sitting.
No
Do you
way.
believe that?
No.
BJ, do you believe that?
I believe it.
156 beers in one sitting?
But that is that is
big he was.
14.6 gallons of beer for somebody who was. Hang on, let me look it
You're
up.
assuming a sitting was what, probably 3 or 4 hours?
Something like that.
So he was drinking 50 beers
maybe,
an hour.
Maybe
for
7,
3 hours.
maybe 7 or 8. So he was 7'4" for reference. He was 7'4", close to 450 pounds.
They said he was over. I thought he was over 500.
Okay, they billed him at 520 pounds. So I'm gonna take you guys behind the curtain on wrestling because I think I'm the wrestling guy on this show.
Exactly.
When you bill somebody that's usually bigger than they actually are. Generally, the guys who are built at 6 feet are probably usually about 5'10".
Yeah. Well, it's like that even in any sports.
Oh wow, the Marlins are caught in a rundown here. Not to make this a react pod, and the throw hits him in the back, and the Marlins runner is able to get safely back to third base. The Yankees only have 1 out still. The Marlins fighting for their playoff lives here.
Supposedly, well, speaking of, all media guys do that. Even in college, like college sports, like a lot of the athletes are.
Oh, Baker Mayfield.
Yeah,
Does anyone think Baker Mayfield's 6 feet?
Yeah.
He's got to be 5'10" and a half.
There used to be a story, I don't know how true it was, about Kevin Garnett in the NBA. He didn't want to be labeled as 7 foot, so in the media guide, even though he was 7 foot, I guess, he told whoever, like the media guide, to list him at 6'12" instead of 7 feet.
Wow, that's funny. I want to look in that. Hang on, let me look this up.
I just heard it as a kid and just kind of ran with it. I just assumed it was true. But yeah, media guides lie all the time about weight and height. I mean, just look at your college media guide, especially.
Oh yeah.
Add some inches. And, I mean,
he's officially listed at 6'9", though most people have him at 6'11", apparently, which is interesting.
So big as hell. I mean, that's.
I would love to be even 5'11".
But just the sheer weight. Wait, who are you talking about?
Just me. I want to be 5'11".
6'11"? No, I was saying like who are you talking about?
Oh, I'm talking about Kevin Durant.
Garnett. Wait, did you look up Garnett or Durant?
I looked up Kevin Durant.
No, Garnett.
Okay, Garnett. Well that's me not paying attention. Okay, let's try this again.
No, but we were talking about Andre the Giant and how he was supposedly over like 450 pounds.
But
in weight.
50 beers an hour? That's
okay. That's right. Okay, let's do it this way. That's 156 beers would be 1,872 fluid ounces, or 14.6 gallons of beer. So think about it this way: have you guys ever had to drink a gallon of water?
Yeah, in 2 days.
That's hard as hell to do overnight.
Yeah. You can't do it.
So you know what? I've actually gone over to your side. There's no way I think any human being could consume 156 beers in one
pace he
sitting.
drank at, he was drinking just under a beer a minute for 3 hours straight.
Was there a time limit on how?
Yeah, I mean, it depends on how long the sitting.
If it was like for a day, I'd believe
it. If it was a day, that'd be a little bit more believable. But I'm assuming a sitting is like you went to the bar.
My question for you guys
that's
is...
impossible.
That's what I'm saying.
Oh,
that's what I'm assuming.
So we need to know how long.
How long the sitting was.
My question for you guys is, how many beers have you guys had in one sitting? Is it in the 2 digits?
150.
Because mine is. Wow. Whoa.
In one sitting?
Was I with you on that? That had to have been in college.
We cleaned out Walmart.
Yeah, I was gonna say we would have had to. We would have had to clean out a whole bar if we did something like that.
I think I wouldn't say above 10 though.
Yeah, 10. I think 10's the limit.
I've done double-digit shots though in a sitting. I know that.
That's crazy.
Wow, have you really?
You probably
And that's
don't
not,
remember.
and that's not like you either.
I know.
Was that one of the days we know?
That was
about?
that was at one of my high school parties.
Oh wow.
Oh, was that?
I hit
time
10.
ago.
I hit 10 just at the end of the night before I went to sleep. I made sure to down 10.
That's funny.
With some restraint from party goers.
That's when we had too much alcohol.
Yeah. Isn't it? It's kind of crazy that like.
You know, I can't do it anymore. Here's the thing. You know, we have like 5 or 6, and I have to have Pedialyte.
Definitely going back to that.
But before I go to sleep, I'm just telling you.
Yeah. No.
You know,
yeah.
it doesn't work like that. You know, at 21 or 22, we rebound pretty quick, but at 28, it's a whole different ball game.
Yeah.
I remember before 21. This was.
Yeah, this is high school.
This is
our
school.
junior year. Maybe
when we were 21.
Yeah.
I've never had a drink before 21 years old. I'm just gonna put that on record.
The sheer amount of alcohol I bought for a 10-person party was insane. Like 4 liquor bottles. I think I bought, actually, from the advice of our guest that we just had on. I actually used him.
Famous celebrity chef that we just had on.
And was like, yo, how many like beers do you think I should get for like 10 or 12 people? And he's like, oh, you got to get at least 80. So, all right. So I spent like whatever my paycheck was at that time and got as much alcohol as I could and had a lot left over.
Speaking of beer,
a lot.
Another Andre the Giant drinking fact is that Andre once pounded 2 cases of beer during an hour-long car ride. That one I can imagine. That one makes sense. So if you're calling a case of beer a 12-pack or even an 18-pack, that's either 24 or 36 beers in 1 hour. At that size, I'm buying that one. What about you guys?
I already bought the other one, so I'm definitely.
Yeah, I guess if you're in on 156 beers, there's probably not much that you wouldn't be in on.
Yeah.
How about the one? There was one of the stories you sent us. It was like they were on a flight to Japan and they the vodka.
Okay.
With like him and Ric Flair.
Andre the Giant once cleared a plane's entire stock of vodka during a flight to Japan. This is per Ric Flair, who again, like that's somebody who likes to be sensational, just because that's the nature of the Nature Boy. He says, I was with him one night at the Downtowner in Charlotte. In 1975, he drank 106 beers, and his manager drank 56. I've been on a plane on a 747 with him going to Tokyo out of Chicago on number 4 on Northwest. We drank every bottle of vodka on the plane. And wrestlers in the 80s, like, they definitely partied hard. I think if you listen to interviews with these wrestlers, it was just definitely a different time.
Not only wrestlers, but athletes. Like, think of 86 Mets.
Did you see the picture?
Yeah,
I'm glad you mentioned that, because did you see the picture of Keith Hernandez after he got his, I think it was 2000th hit, just like smoking a cigarette in the dugout to celebrate?
Those guys, I mean,
what about before that? Even like Babe Ruth.
Yeah,
they were even crazy.
I feel like Babe Ruth had to be just smoking cigarettes, like coming up to the plate.
Drunk, just playing.
What about the there was a Pirates pitcher who was like, he was like high on coke and he threw a no-hitter.
Oh, is that Oil Can Boyd?
Yeah,
or is that
documentary. I don't remember his name.
I thought
it was something Williams, wasn't it?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I know there's all sorts of different stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, pitchers are just a different breed. You'd be interested to know. David Wells threw that famous no-hitter in Yankee Stadium hungover. That was a day game.
I remember.
That wasn't that like a weekday game too?
I don't know. I think it was a weekend because I wasn't in school and I remember watching.
Hang on. All right, now we're gonna look it up. Let's look up the David Wells no-hitter. Speaking of which, what is the perfect game? What is the most famous no-hitter that you can think of, or what is your most memorable no-hitter?
I mean, I watched both of David Wells and David Cohen's on TV.
Yeah. Let's see, it would have been May 17th, 1998. Let's look this up here.
What about what was it? Armando Galarraga?
That was the no-hitter that wasn't, unfortunately. Okay, so May 17th, 1998 was a Sunday, so it makes sense he would have been.
It
makes sense that he would have been out on a Saturday.
Yeah.
For some reason, I thought it was like a Wednesday or Thursday, but I don't know. Maybe it's just me. But yeah, that have you ever felt? I guess I want to do this next show, and I want to put this in the record for solidarity. Next show, I want to do a segment about the worst you've ever felt for an athlete. But
what do you mean by the worst you've ever felt?
Like most sympathy you've ever felt for an athlete.
I thought you were gonna say the worst you ever felt after drinking.
No, I mean,
yeah, me too.
We can.
I was like, okay, let's go right now.
We can do that next, but speaking of awkward transitions about no-hitters and the worst you've ever felt for an athlete, time for VJ's Urban Dictionary word of the day.
Alright. Let go. Alright, so our word of the day today is, I had to go back in the archives here, but rat liquor. Okay, before I
Can I get the country of origin?
USA. Alright, before I say what it is, what do you guys think it is?
Like
a rat liquor.
Does it have something to do with like New Yorkers who ride the subway? I have no idea.
I'm gonna go with a snitch, like someone who like promotes snitching, who likes snitching.
No.
Yeah, I have no idea. You got
Alright, so I'll tell you. A person who refuses to wear a mask or take any of the basic precautions to help society prevent an airborne illness during an epidemic.
That sounds about right. Can we use it in a sentence?
I went to the mall for some new underwear, but had to leave. Too many rat liquors. And there you go. That's your word of the day by Urban Dictionary.
All right. Well, for all the rat lickers that are listening to our podcast, please wear a mask. That's all for us this week. Stay tuned. Stay safe.